Till I Die TV. Watch and subscribe on YouTube and listen on your podcast platform.
Hi everybody, Jerry Taggart here. Now be sure to watch Chris and Leicester Till I Die TV by subscribing on YouTube and following them on social media for all the latest Leicester City news and information. Come on you foxes!
Strap yourself in because we're set up, switched on and ready to go.
Seven, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And it's live.
Good evening, fellow Fox fans. How the devil are we? Excited yet? Oh, this time tomorrow, it will all be over. And are we going to get our own back? We lost to the red side of Manchester 4 or 5 years ago now. Can we beat the blue side? Well, on the day that Sega announced that fans of their Football Manager game won't be able to manage Manchester United to a title on their games, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has come out and said, okay, they know how I feel now. He can't do it in the Premier League in real life. It's Leicester Till I Die TV.
The Premier League is back, and we've got it all covered here on Leicester Till I Die TV. Subscribe.
Yes, please subscribe. We are live on YouTube, Leicester Till I Die TV. Go over, give them all my little buttons and knobs a tweak. You know I enjoy it. Facebook, it's Leicester Till I Die, the group. And on Twitter, it's at Leicester TID. Good evening to Static. How are you, sir? And good evening to Scott as well. Welcome along. Let's say the biggest welcome, though, to my guest this evening. I don't think I've spoken to him since we beat them 5-2 about this time last season, I think it was. Oh, did I mention that?
Come off it, mate. I'm sure we spoke since then. I'm still laughing about that.
I know, but that wouldn't have been as good.
I'm still laughing about that Jerry Taggart thing. I really was concerned about what he was saying because I didn't expect that last word to be foxes. I thought he was going to say something else.
It's his accent. It's his accent, mate.
He elongated it. But anyway, how you doing, mate?
I am good. Welcome along, Ray. Thanks for joining us. Before we start, you've got your title in there in the name, and we've got the link in the YouTube. But give your socials a bit of a shout out for us. Yeah,
follow me on Twitter. It's Ray City Fan TV 1. YouTube, obviously, City Fan TV. That's the limit of my socials, mate. That's all. I've got a Facebook page, but to be honest, I mean, I'm on Twitter so much. What's the point of going onto Facebook when everything I chuck out on Twitter anyway?
This is very true. So, hey, £100 million, I believe that Wayne Rooney has already texted Jack a list of ladies that are available to keep him company in Manchester. Don't know how true that
Jack's
is, allegedly.
More into his football, mate. I was watching, no, but seriously, I was watching, City's website, they did, or City TV, they did this little video about Jack and, him coming yesterday or Tuesday night, Wednesday night, and then doing his medical list. And he looks really excited to be there. I've seen other players, have come to City, big name players. They've not looked as excited as Jack Grealish. And when he didn't know his number, when he found out that he was number 10, he said, "This has made my year." He's so made up to be at City now. Hopefully he'll get a run out tomorrow.
I mean, let's not. I mean, he is sort of an Aston Villa boy. He's been there since he was 6. He's gone through all the the systems, and obviously Aston Villa have done a lot for him. But they've got a fair payout for what they've pumped in. They've certainly got the money's worth, I think. And he said, he signed a new deal as long as they put that clause in, and you came along and you matched the clause. And it's just like when we went for Perez, no messing about. That's the clause that's in, that's the amount they want, offer it. You do these transfers quicker than the red side of Manchester.
Well, the thing is, look, the clause is there. Apparently a few clubs have been in for him. They'd inquired, but Leicester have said put up the money, and nobody else either wanted to or could put up the money.
No.
City did, and as soon as City put up the money, we knew it was going to happen. I had an inkling a couple of months ago. I think I did it in a podcast before the end of the season about Jack Grealish, but pretty much as soon as Villa was splashing big money, they're linked with so many players. You knew what was coming. As soon as it went early, you thought, okay, maybe it's just one player. They're not giving their hand away. But as soon as Leon Bailey comes, they've got a bid in for Cantwell. They've got a bid in for who's the other fellow there?
James. They've signed Ings, haven't they?
As soon as all that happens, they have to sell Jack Grealish to. Finance everything for FFP wise. They have to sell him for what they spend. They might spend about 100 and if they get everybody, Tammy Abrams, Twenzebi from United, they'll be spending about 160 million quid. Look, I'm back. We knew it was pretty much a couple of weeks ago this was happening. I'm glad he's happy. I'm looking forward to see what he does. It's interesting. I'll just throw this in, and you might ask me about it later. It'd be interesting to see if any City players leave this summer.
Yes, yeah. I mean, you mentioned those 3 letters earlier, FFP, and we've all been on the accusing end of the FFP finger, but to be honest with you, I think what you get fined doesn't really, even touch the top of the drink in your cups, does it?
Well, look. End of the day. That fine was for not cooperating with the investigation, and actually, I support City in not, being reluctant to cooperate with the UEFA because UEFA were leaking stuff. So you have to ask yourself if UEFA are leaking what's going on in the investigation.
Yeah,
how fair is it? I think City. I don't have an issue with that. Yeah. I've said many times, every single club will bend the rules in whatever way they think they can to make it work. I can throw it back to you and say, if I'm right, if you hadn't have won promotion when you did, you're going to get poleaxed by the Championship. Or if you'd got relegated, they'd have got their claws into you and you'd have been stuffed.
Yeah, I said, as we've all had that finger dangled over our name.
Everybody's
it's not like UEFA and the FA and FIFA are the cleanest of. Well,
the thing is,
corporations, are they?
Look, they stopped that loophole. Derby did it. Sheffield Wednesday did it. Aston Villa did it, where the clubs sell the stadium in effect to themselves and then lease it back. And that gets them a huge profit in the accounts. It gets them clear of FFP for the season that they're in trouble for. Villa did it. As I said, loads of clubs have done it, and they stopped that now. Now, that is, I'm sure if the tax man was looking at it, he'd just say that's an artificial transaction. It is an artificial transaction to avoid getting done for FFP. Yeah. So everybody's at it. And I'm sure City have done stuff that, it's my opinion before anybody writes to City. I'm sure City have done stuff that, if people find out, they'd say that's wrong. But so many other clubs have done so. And it's just because City, City, they're winning everything.
I think it's all relative because, a lot of fans look at, say, Man City and say, oh, they're buying the league and they're spending 100 million, blah, blah, blah. But then you'll get teams like your Preston North Ends, your Blackburn Rovers, they'll look at Leicester and go, "You're spending millions on play." It's all sort of relative, isn't
everybody's doing it. It's like people having a go at City buying Jack Grealish, who's a Villa fan and all this and all that. And now they're having a go at City for looking at Harry Kane, who's a lifelong Spurs fan. But Villa, they're knocking on the door of Todd Cantwell. Norwich is probably one of their best players. So they're quite happy to take the good players out of other clubs, but they don't want, it's a bit hypocritical to complain about what City are doing to Villa when Villa have done it to, they're looking at doing it to Southampton, but with James Ward-Prowse. They've done it with, trying to do it with Cantwell from Norwich. They've done it with Buendia from Brighton. They're doing exactly the same as what City are doing. It's just that when it happens to you, when someone comes and takes your player, it hurts. Yes. It doesn't mean what the club taking them is wrong. And I tried to equate this to back in the day, probably about 15 years ago, or maybe a bit less, when Sean Wright-Phillips went to Chelsea from City. Now, we needed the money. We were up against it, and his sale, saved us at the time. But City fans wished him well. They knew why he was going. He was going there to obviously help us financially, but to help himself, to try and win trophies at Chelsea and make it a bigger club. And nobody begrudged him that. And when he came back, as a player, or when he came back, when it hadn't worked out at Chelsea, he was welcomed back with open arms. Yes. And I don't understand why Villa fans are vilifying Jack Grealish and City fans for what's going on. It's happened forever and a day in football.
Oh, it will do. It will do. I'm just going to give a quick shout out to Kieran Rance here. A great channel, but he does these raids. Now, Kieran, what you come into here from your channel is, and I know you're an Everton fan, is that you're watching a Leicester City fan and a Manchester City fan who are talking about the Community Shield. Now, I know Everton may wonder what that is because it's been a long time since you've actually been at Wembley, isn't it, as an Everton fan? We'll take some photos for him, won't we, Ray? And we'll send them.
No. I think you're being harsh, mate. You're being harsh. I can tell you, Everton last played at Wembley, if I'm right, 3 years ago.
Did they? What was that for?
When Spurs were playing at Wembley. I suspect if Everton...
Oh, yeah. Hey, boom, boom. Yeah, a double roast there, Kieran. Now, I've just got about 34 comments in the comment section, all from his followers. They call it raids. So,
Everton, honestly, with what's going on at Everton at the moment, I'm surprised they've got the cheek, the gall to show their faces. Rafa Benitez.
He's harmless. He's harmless. It's a laugh. But anyway, tomorrow, sir, something that we've got something that Everton haven't had for a long time, and that is actually we're going to be playing for a trophy. We've got Man City under the over the Premier League there, Leicester over the FA Cup, which we finally managed to do. Tomorrow, Wembley, 5:15. It's on ITV or lcfc.com free, and TalkSport, BBC Radio 5 and Radio Leicester if you want to listen to it. As we said just before we came live, you must be sat there thinking, here we go again. But for Leicester, it's like, wow, Yeah,
look, let's be honest, I always say without trying to appear arrogant, it is a regular occurrence for us to go to Wembley. I can't even remember how many times we've been in the last decade. FA Cup semi-finals, finals, Community Shields, playing Spurs, Carabao Cup finals, and we've been tons of times. Just the Carabao Cup alone, we've been 4, 5, 6 times in the last 10 years, I think. Just the Carabao Cup final. So it's a regular occurrence. I think City probably are struggling to sell the tickets, I've heard, but I think that's the same as ever, and it's worse now because of COVID and everything else. Some people don't want to go, and it's those fans who are the real diehards, I think, the older ones who are just saying either it's not safe or whatever. to make that trip, and so they're the ones who are pulling out. So it's a shame, but it's the way it is. It's as I said,
I think we've still got tickets left as well. To be honest, we had tickets left. I think it's closed now. But hey, and I mean, I'm going. I'm able to get tickets. I wasn't able to get a ticket for the final, but looking forward to it. It's one of those for me. And I tried to talk to, and I do talk to sort of fans of some other clubs like Arsenal, Liverpool, etc., etc. And it's like, and again, maybe it's a young fan thing that they can't remember when their teams weren't successful. You've got Arsenal crying into the sort of bowls of warm porridge that mummy's made for them. They haven't qualified for Europe for the first time in 25 years, and they finished 8th. I mean, we played each other down in the 3rd tier of football not so long ago.
Yeah, it is a problem for the fan bases who can't understand and can't stand not having success. It's when they throw that history jibe at other clubs and say, "Oh, we've won all these trophies." Well, yeah, that's part of your history. Winning and losing is part of your history. Just being around for 125 years at City is about 127 now. That's history. History is not necessarily about winning stuff. We've been like you guys as well. We've been through the doldrums. We have. Both sides have, and we're around on the other side. We're doing well. I always say, let us enjoy it. Let us, it's like when Newcastle, when they looked like they were going to get some money, and fans accuse City fans of, we're not going to be happy that they're going to get the money and load of money. And it was that we've had our time. We're in it. Yeah, we're not so greedy that we think nobody else should have that opportunity as well. We know we've been lucky with what happened to us. We know that it could have easily been Everton or Newcastle. So we enjoy it for as long as it'll happen. And you never know. This might be our last Community Shield for 10 years. We don't know.
You don't know, no. Like you said, but I think sometimes you've got to be where we were to appreciate what you get today. And certainly, people keep saying to me, like, well, you finished 5th and missed out on Europe again. You've bottled it, and like they can't understand where. No, I'm happy with 5th in Europe because I can remember how long it's taken us to get here. But looking at the pre-season that you've had, is it? I mean, I could only find 3 games that you've played. I don't know how sort of true that is, and it's not been, in fairness, the toughest opposition. But then we've been the same. You've won all 3, which I would have expected you to. But how many of sort of your regular first team players that we would be able to name were taking part in those?
To be honest, I didn't watch any of those games. I wasn't interested at all. You're looking at 4 or 5 players, your regulars that might were there. I think in the last game, I had a look through the team sheet. It was 5 or 6. So, it's difficult because we were talking beforehand. The Euros finished on the 11th of July. That's only 4 weeks ago. So you're not giving players much time to rest. And if you've got to remember, City we had 4 players in the England squad. Sterling, Walker, Stones and Foden. So obviously, they're not getting much of a rest. Yeah. And then we'd have had players like KDB there, and you had a few players there as well. Yeah. So, it's only to be expected to have. I think, for instance, like Cancelo has been playing because he was with Portugal. He got COVID before the Euros. They dropped him. So someone like him coming and playing, I understand that. So it's going to be a bit odd tomorrow. It is. But, I mean, City were unlucky as well because they would have had some tougher opposition. They were supposed to play on the 31st of July in France. Right. I was going to go to that game. I'm in France at the moment. I was going to go against our sister club who got promoted last season, Estac Troy. So I was getting ready. I got a Troy shirt as well. Thought I'll go to that game. It'll be really interesting to go and watch that. And then because of the COVID rules, it got called off, and then they had to rearrange. I think with Barnsley or something. So it's been
Not quite the same, is it? No
It's not the
disrespect to
same.
Barnsley.
So the problem is, it's been a light pre-season because obviously the teams are, with all due respect, up to much lower league teams, and we've not been fielding too many first-team players. It is what it is. You know, players have had a run out. Tomorrow is another opportunity for players to get a run out, get ready for the league. You know, the worry is, like last season, players won't be ready for the start of the league season.
That is, I mean, I was just going to say then, I mean, I remember last season, I mean, you know, every club was struggling with injuries. And I think that was because the off season was so short that they didn't have the time to rest and get over it and have proper pre-season. And I was thinking, oh, it might be better this year. But then, like you say, for those players that have been in the Euros, it's just going to be exactly the same again, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, City suffered last summer because we were in the Champions League. And I remember when we played the Champions League final, Liverpool, I just picked them out because I remember the story. They had already had a week's pre-season in Austria. So their players had a rest. And they were enjoying. They were already starting pre-season, and City had something like 5 weeks to let the players have a rest, pre-season and start, and it just wasn't enough. And then you had COVID as well.
Yeah.
So I think we started the season with 3 or 5 players with COVID, at least 3.
Were we the first game that you played last season? Because again, I did mention it earlier, but I know sort of you got your own back later on in the season. But I think if we'd still been playing now, we'd have had about 50 penalties. You know,
it was a crazy game. We didn't have a great side.
You didn't, and I think that was down to the fact that I think your game was the season week before was Burnley, or that had been cancelled, or because of COVID, and. We obviously sort of went out, and so we'd paid, I think, 1 or 2 by then, and you hadn't even started. So a repeat tomorrow would be very nice.
I think we started a week late.
Yeah,
I think we started a week late. We played Wolves to start with. We beat them 3-1, but they had plenty of chances. And that game, I think our back line was Walker, Aki was there, Mendy was there, and I can't remember the other centre, Garcia, I think. You know, 3 of them wouldn't appear in City's first team now. So it was a dodgy lineup. You'd had obviously more experience.
I think it was straight after that game. You went out and bought a central defender, I think, didn't you?
We got Diaz after that. Because we were trying to get a central defender for months. And, you know, City just wouldn't pay the money. I mean, people say that's crazy, but they wouldn't pay the money for Koulibaly. They wouldn't pay the money for Konde. And it ended up with Diaz, and I think we got lucky.
I'm going to say, he's not been the worst buy you've ever made, has he? You know, I've got to say, you were talking about Aki there. As he's not been playing as much as I thought he might do. And being down here on the South Coast, of course, I remember when he was down here at Bournemouth. I mean, we're on the lookout for a central defender at the moment. Any chance of us borrowing
You'll
him?
not get Aki. No, I think he was unlucky last season. He's unlucky, partly because John Stones was in such fine form. If originally, I think people thought the idea would be we'd have 2 right-sided centre backs in Stones and Diaz, and we'd have 2 left-sided centre backs in Laporte and Aki, and that would mean Aki would get a reasonable number of games. But because Stones was in such good form and Diaz can play on the left, that's what happened. So Laporte became the first backup and Aki became the second backup. So he was missing. And then I think he got injured. He had COVID as well. And then by that point, Stones and Diaz were a great partnership. And then, as I said, the first change was bringing Laporte in. So Aki, he was bound to struggle. I think he'll get more games this season. Obviously, now he's fit. That's the main thing. You got to be fit to play. So he'll get more games.
A very big hello there to Ankit from RC Bayern Chelsea Fan TV and Talk MU. Talk, you did miss this, but apparently it has been on the news that Man United was suing Sega, who made the Football Manager, and that they can't Sega can't actually use Man United anymore. It's got to be Man UFC. So, and they were saying that the players of Football Manager can't manage the Manchester United name to the title, and apparently they know how Ole Gunnar Solskjaer feels now because he can't do it either. But hey, welcome along, man. Welcome along, talk. Just had to get that in. I mean, the news is obviously this week. You've had a great news with the signing. We've gone the other way with the injury to Fofana, and the guys come out and apologised. And I honestly don't think any player, unless you're Roy Keane, allegedly, goes out to actually.
Oh, there's no allegedly. You can take the allegedly out of Roy Keane.
I'm just covering myself with that one, but it wasn't needed. It was a pre-season friendly. It was tit for tat, and he went over the top.
It was a disgusting tackle. If you're doing a tackle like that, you want to hurt the other player. There's no question about it. And it's a shame that the sanction isn't greater, because in my opinion anyway, he's deliberately gone out to hurt the other player with that scissor motion, hacking him down like that. I've said it before. People make tackles, deliberate fouls, or you do stuff where you don't care about the health and welfare of your opponent. There's a game a few seasons ago. City were playing Cardiff in was it the Cup? And Cardiff players were hacking City players down. There was one guy, I can't remember, was it KDB or something? He chased him about 50 or 60 yards and then hacked him down from behind. Now, I said that deserves more than a yellow card, because he can't catch him. He's deliberately hacked him down. And you deserve a proper penalty for that, because you're not bothered about the other player. And you need more than a red card or a 3-game ban for deliberately dangerous play, because you can finish someone's career. And I just think it's totally wrong.
Yeah, I mean, we know we're probably going to not see him next season now, and we're struggling on my back line anyway. And I think there's got to be a somewhere where these governing bodies can look at these things. Where we dive in when people dive for penalty. I mean, look at the Italians in Euros. I can't remember the guy's name that went down screaming and shouting, and they scored, and he got up straight away. We should be able to look at that and go, that is cheating. I'm sorry, it is cheating. And what annoyed me more than anything is, and we do know that the European players do like to go down very easily, like a horse knickers on a wedding night. But they then when they've just seen that happen, and then 2 seconds later, their goalkeeper's rolling about like he's been hit by a bloody digger. Yeah. It's just respect. Have respect.
Well, the thing is that, look, you can get booked for feigning an injury, and it was obvious he was feigning an injury. He should have got a yellow card. And I think you've got to go back and sanction people for cheating and for dangerous tackles. It's very rare that someone gets more than a 3-game ban for a dangerous tackle. The City one that I remember was Ben Thatcher, where he did a forearm smash on the guy and knocked him out. And he got sent off for that, I think. But he ended up with a 10-game ban. And that's what you've got to be doing this. You've got to have a deterrent. 3-game ban. What if you've broken someone's leg deliberately? A 3-game ban is nothing.
Yeah, I mean, he basically got no yellow card, no red card, and then you got a young player there who's probably his World Cup chances are out the window, and he's not going to feature for us all season. But but anyway, moving on to happier things. Like I say, it's a bit of the old yin yang now with the two bits of news. But who are we going to see turning out for Man City? Or is he going to stick with the youngsters, or is he going to just throw some big names in? And will Jack Grealish make an appearance?
I think Jack Grealish will be on the bench, and I'm glad if he can be on the bench and get a few minutes, because that'll be his debut. I like players to get their debuts over and done with, so that they're ready. They've not got as many nerves. I mean, I think when Jack plays for City, he'll be nervous.
Yeah,
he'll be nervous with if he plays against Spurs, his league debut, he'll be nervous. He'll be nervous when he plays in Manchester for the first time. So I just want him to get these games over and done with. So like that, get even 5 or 10 minutes, it's over and done with. It'll be interesting to see who we start. Looking from the last game, I remember there's a great pass from Fernandinho to Mahrez who scored. So I'd expect Fernandinho to play, Riyad Mahrez. You might see Ruben Dias, Nathan Ake, Cancelo, Mendy played last time. But I'd like to see some youngsters get a chance. I'd like to see someone like James McAtee. We had this kid, Fandabi Dozie. Sam Idozi is his name.
What? Hang on. Go back a bit. Called what?
His name is Sam Idozi.
Right.
His surname is Idozi. So we call him Fandabi. If you're old enough, you know what that means.
No, I get the meaning. I just obviously didn't know the player.
Yeah, so it's but he scored 3. I think he scored a goal in each game.
Yeah.
So it'd be nice for him to get a run out. And he's not one of our main academy players, but we would like to see Liam Delap play. We'd like to see Cole Palmer play. So I like that if we can have a mix of what we've had in these games, 5 or 6 senior players, 4 or 5 kids, and see what happens. Give somebody who's knocking on the door a chance just to see, if they're up to it, and maybe they can be part of the first team squad all season.
Yeah. I mean, I think we will hopefully put out quite a strong team, but then you might see. I think we're just back down to normal changes because we've been basically changing the whole team on like 60 minutes. But one player I did want to talk to you about, who we've spoken about a few times, and the Macho Man there, Kelechi Iheanacho, who came good towards the end of last season, finally for us. He remembered where the net was.
He's always a City favourite after missing that great opportunity against City. Was that the game where Company scored that 30-yarder and a few seasons back? And Iheanacho put one wide, and we still call him Agent Iheanacho. The thing is, I liked him when he was at City. He was always in the right place at the right time.
Yes.
But for whatever reason, it didn't work out. And it'd be interesting to see if he's ready now. Because that's even watching him last season, he scored some goals, but I still felt, has he made it yet? And I'm not sure. He needs to make it quickly because Vardy's 34. So he needs to be sure that he should be the next cab on the rank.
I think the problem was with Kelechi Iheanacho is how do you replace, or how do you replace basically Jamie Vardy? With his fit, he's going to be in the team, and he does like the odd goal against Man City, let's be honest. But generally speaking, when he was played, it was for the last 10, 15 minutes of a game, and they still played to him like Jamie Vardy was on the pitch, and he's not the same sort of player. But it's suddenly, because of the injuries of that last season, we had to sort of go for a formation. Both of them played, but in a way where Jamie suddenly was supplying the crosses and Kelechi was sort of nodding them in. Yes, I think this is a big season for him because he's got to carry that on. And of course, you got Daka knocking at the door. Yeah. So, but I'm glad to see, because he's such a nice lad, outside of when he does his interviews, and it's great. I mean, we wouldn't have probably ended up where we were, without his goals, because you'll be pleased, to hear that Jamie Vardy's goals have dried up. But like you say, Man City does like to pop in against Man City.
I'm going to say, I'm sure the drought will be relieved tomorrow.
Well, look, Ray, thanks very much for coming on. I'm just going to ask you before you go, as we normally do on these, it is extra time and penalties tomorrow, so there's got to be a result. Presumably, you're going to go for a Man City win.
It'd be rude not to, wouldn't it, mate? Got to say City.
I think it would be.
And scoreline, I'll say 2-0.
Well, Well, I'm going to go for 2-1 Leicester. Obviously, like you say, it would be rude not to. I don't know. I just think like it's been that long since we won the FA Cup, and so since we ever won a cup, and we did that. Maybe somebody up there is just smiling on us at the moment.
Yeah. I mean, look, you've had a great run in the last 5 years. You've won more trophies in the last domestic trophies in the last 5 years than Liverpool, for instance.
Yeah, definitely.
So you've got a good record at the moment, and you are on the up. Rodgers is doing a good job there. I think you'll do well this season, and I think it'll be a good game tomorrow.
That's it. And you obviously, I was going to say, are you going there? But you're over in France, aren't you? So
it's just blooming. I've got to vent a little bit. The government with this messing about on the vaccinations, on quarantine or self-isolation. And there's no reason to do this to France. I would have come back about a week ago, and I knew I probably wouldn't be able to go, but they should have, changed the rules a lot earlier. On Sunday, the rules change, so I don't have to self-isolate, but it means I miss the game, and I haven't planned to go to the Spurs game either next weekend. So, just this silly rule, it is, unfair rule that they put in has cost me going to probably this in the last few years, last 7 or 8 years, my second most visited ground after the Etihad Stadium is Wembley. And
you've got to get the job as a Secretary of State, have an affair, and then everything would be fine. You'd be allowed to do whatever you wanted.
But it's nice to go to my regular haunt, but I'd like to think we'll be back there in end of February or early March for the Carabao Cup final. Or as
probably
they call
will
it.
do. I mean, I believe that they are thinking of changing the rules for the Carabao Cup in the fact that you're automatically in the final and everybody else is just playing off to see who's going to play you.
Well, I heard they're going to call it the Man City Cup.
Yes, you're not far off there. You're not far off. Look, right, thanks. So I'd wish you all the best for tomorrow, but you really know I wouldn't mean it, don't you?
You wouldn't mean it. No, mate.
Thanks very much, mate. My worry is, I've got to be honest with you, because we saw it after the Fofana injury, is whether the Leicester players are actually going to be going in for tackles. Not unfairly, but, whether they're going to look at that and think, oh, my God, because they certainly backed off a little bit after the Fofana foul.
Yeah. I, to be honest, I think they get over it quickly. They'll have had a few training sessions since, and I think they get over it very quickly. And, but I think if it's played in a good atmosphere between the two sides, then they'll play like a friendly, and I don't think either side will go over the top. It's just not worth it.
No, and I think you've got two English clubs. It's not like I said, no disrespect, but it was a Spanish club we were playing, so I don't want my anti-European feelings to come out too much. But Static hopes Leicester win tomorrow. Static, I love you. You are a good man, and he says get well soon, Fofana. Yeah. I was going to call you Ray then because I'm obviously called Ray. I was going to call you Ray Charles then, but Static's having a dig at you there.
Look,
I think you know Static, don't you?
I'll finish off this quick story. I was doing an interview. I was at a press conference for the Northern Ireland women's team. The manager was there, and they were waiting for a player, or one of the other people who was going to ask some questions, who dropped away for a second, and he asked me a question about Ray Charles. I was just wearing normal glasses. I was wearing normal glasses for that, and he asked me a question about Ray Charles, and no, he was a card. I mean, it's like, hang on, you got the national broadcasters there, and he's having a chat with me about Ray Charles. So the next time I was on with him, I asked him about, so you end up talking about music, women's. It was a qualifying, it was a playoff for the Euros for next summer.
Women's Euros,
and you're talking about Ray Charles and music.
But hey, it's a sideline for you. I'll send you a link for Lucky website. But hey, I'm going to see you in 20 minutes on your channel, chatting more. So I will see you then. Thanks so much for coming on, Ray. Take care, bud. All the best. Thank you. So thanks to Ray there for coming on. And for Kieran Rance for raiding, and for Static and Talk and everybody else for coming on. No news about who Messi's going to sign for yet, though. Apparently, according to Twitter, it's every single club in the Premier League, because they're all putting pictures out. And we're all dreaming. We are all dreaming, of course. So, hey, I'm not going to be back on now until Sunday at 1 o'clock, when we are going to be doing the post-match review, which hopefully will be a little bit happy. But it is back.
The Premier League is back, and we've got it all covered here on Leicester Till I Die TV. Subscribe.
Well, it's back next week, but at least we're playing the Premier League team. Guys, thanks so much for watching. Thanks to Ray for joining. I'm going to nip over now, join onto his channel and have a chat. A quick hello to Foxes the Tour before I go. Thanks for joining us, mate. Subscribe to the channel. If you want to catch up on any of the Leicester Till I Die shows, don't forget, you can join us on Leicester Till I Die TV on YouTube. And if you do on that, please, subscribe. We would be grateful. Or if you want to listen rather than look at my lovely little mug there, and I don't blame you, Amazon, Spotify, Apple, Google, Podcast Addict, Anchor, all the podcasts there, to name but 6, and you can catch up on any of them if you want to listen rather than watch. And like I say, I, in fairness, probably don't blame you. Scott, thanks very much, mate. Says enjoy your day on Saturday. I will be. I'm with my son and his girlfriend. It's going to be great. And he's driving, so maybe I can have a drink. Shh, don't tell him. But Scott, will do. Thanks very much. See you all Sunday at 1 o'clock with me and Brad and the post-match show. Stay safe now, and come on, you Foxes. It's about time we won this again.
Hello, Matt Elliott here. Be sure to watch Leicester Till I Die TV on YouTube and follow all them social media platforms for the latest updates and news on Leicester City Football Club.
Thanks for watching Leicester Till I Die. This is Chris saying goodbye, and see you next time.
To an end. But the fun doesn't have to stop here. If you have any questions, suggestions, or feedback, head over right now to Twitter and Facebook and like, share, and get involved. Join us next time.